Hey everybody, I'm Glenn. Welcome to my show. It's called The Business of Making Art. All of my material is for people who love what they do, or more likely, you want to love what you do. So I'm going to talk to some people here from Atlantic Canada about their work and what it takes to be entrepreneurial and to be artistic. Today's show is a special one. I've got a special guest host. His name is Marcus Grover. Marcus hosts his own show. It's called Views of the 902, and you can check that out at communityradio.ca. That's from 9 to 10 p.m. on Monday nights. Also on the show today, his twin brother, Jeremy. Jeremy is a frequent guest on Views of the 902, and today, Jeremy and I are going to be guests on this show for this episode. I can't wait to learn from these two guys. All right, everyone, je t'aime.
Having me.
I was waiting to see if I was doing the intros for you guys or not, because I know I'm so used to, when I'm on the radio, I always leave you in, or I leave Jeremy to come in for his.
You know what you're going to end up doing, though? Mm-hmm. What you're going to end up doing is you're going to get warm.
Yeah.
So that's what's going to happen is that this is the first time you've done this show. Mm-hmm. So what will happen is that in a few minutes, you'll get real comfortable, you'll settle in. Yeah. And I think you're probably on your way there now.
Oh, perfect. I look forward to that then.
But for the sake of it, thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us on, Marcus. And as your brother, I'm glad that I'm a guest on today's show along with you, considering the fact that we're even matching today.
Did that on purpose.
I love it. I love it. And you know what? I can tell you apart because I know you so well. It's so cool. I've got symmetry on the show today. So
that's awesome. I guess I'll just firstly I'll ask you first, Glenn. So what are you up to right now, and how are you doing it?
Well, I'm loving life. Mm-hmm. I'm an entrepreneur. I am an artist, and like I say, it's tough. It's tough if you want to do something. Like if you want to make something of yourself, which is the theme of all my material. If you want to make something of yourself, and what you have to do is you have to do the work, mm-hmm. and you have to take a little pain, and sometimes you got to take a lot of pain.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to show people with my YouTube stuff, with this podcast, with everything, what I'm trying to show people is what it looks like to work towards a goal, mm-hmm. and to have an objective. And yeah, so far so good. I've been I've thrown down a couple of dance videos this week and put them out on on my website and everything on YouTube, and that was a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to doing some more studio stuff. And like I say, I really appreciate you guys coming in because it's always fun to shoot with you guys because we learned quite a bit together.
Oh, we certainly did.
Yeah, over a couple of summers in terms of recording. So I just great. So yeah, I'm just trucking away, mm-hmm. and yeah, that's it.
I feel like I know the answer for you, Jeremy. As your twin, I can probably read your mind, but what are you up to right now and how are you doing it?
Well, I've recently graduated last year from Nova Scotia Community College. I graduated with a diploma in business administration. And, I've just taken the year. I've been working full time. And even next year, I still haven't really decided what I'm going to do yet. But I'm like, even for what I'm doing right now for work, I really enjoy it. I've met lots of great people and just I'd say this, I'm at a point right now in my life. I mean, I'm still young. There's lots of decisions to make, but I'm at a point in my life right now, I can say I'm very happy with everything and, the people around me. And, it's just, I've always seemed to be in a good mood lately. You're not every day you're going to have, it's not going to be a great day, but, I've just everything, the ball's just been rolling. I'll just leave it at that.
Well, it's great.
I love that. I love your attitude. I think I've said that to you before. I love your attitude about things is that, yeah. Every day is not going to be perfect, but every day is an opportunity to learn something and to move ahead. And if that involves having a little bit of hardship, dealing with a little bit of adversity, then go for it. You're only going to learn from that stuff. And I think that's great. You've always had a good attitude. I only see good things for you in the future. And you too.
And I think it has me thinking back to what they say in the world of journalism, especially. Say you want a big interview and the person's not available. The worst someone can say is no. You just got to go ask. You got to shoot your shot. And if someone says no, they say no. But, you can live and learn. You can still get a big interview down the line.
I've been having, actually, that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. I've been having some trouble getting interviews because I'm not known. But that's picking up now. Now that I'm getting some material out on YouTube, and this podcast is getting out there a little bit. It's starting to pick up and people are starting to know who I am to say yes. They want to do it. And I think that because my target audience is people like you, it's Atlantic Canadians who want to succeed, want to make something of themselves, want to do that work, want to see what that looks like, and young people like you guys. Young people like you guys. I mean, that's what your life is about. Your life is about establishing. And so, yeah, I think it'll be great when maybe get the word out a little bit more and actually start marketing this kind of stuff, and then and get to a point where I get those yeses instead of nos. To your point, because there's some great people here in Atlantic Canada, and I can't wait to get out. I want to get out of the Halifax bubble a little bit because I'm from New Brunswick. I'm making a trip to Newfoundland. You know what I mean? So that's the ticket. Get those yeses, but don't worry. To your point, don't worry about those nos, because just keep going.
Exactly.
I was just going to ask you, Glenn, just out of curiosity, what's the plan for when you go to Newfoundland?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that, brother. Yeah. So I was born in Newfoundland, but I've never been back. I just never had a reason to. I knew a lot of people from Newfoundland, especially when I went to UNB, because there was a lot of people there in the forestry and forestry engineering programs. At UNB, it was an exchange program they were doing with MUN. So I've met a ton and other people doing stuff too. Plus, I know like lots of people from Newfoundland. I mean, Atlantic Canada, there's lots of people from Newfoundland. And so my plan is I don't want to go into the building, but I want to go in front of the building where I was born and just behold the building. Say, I'm back. Thank you. And I want it to be like, I'm not going to do anything too flowery, but I just want to just see the building where I was born, and that's it. That I'm happy. But when I'm there, if I'm going to make a trip to Newfoundland from Halifax, then I'm going to want to book a few people and do a bunch of recording while I'm there. So I'm picturing if I go there, I probably won't have time to sightsee, but I'll want to book at least 6 or 7 guests and tape that footage so that I get a few Newfoundland people live in the studio, or I'll make some kind of a makeshift studio, maybe do Airbnb or something. But yeah, that's the plan. The plan is to go and talk to artists, entrepreneurs, self-starters, or anybody who's doing anything interesting whatsoever. And then in Newfoundland, do a whole bunch while I'm there, and probably be based out of St. John's. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like an awesome plan. Really does.
Well, the thing is too, I find it's always good to go to small places like that, because the thing is, you never know who you're going to meet. And, a lot of these people, they might not be known because of how small of a province is where they are, but then they interview you, and then there's the exposure out there. People can reach out to them, and if it's what they love, and if someone has interest in that, there you go. There's
Jeremy,
exposure for them.
I was just going to ask you, it was something you showed me on Instagram. It was last week, and you told me this guy's in New Brunswick. Who was that? And what does he do again? Just refresh me there.
Well, what are you asking me exactly?
Remember, it was the guy, he had the drink, and he was in New Brunswick.
Oh, yeah.
And the only way you found out was because there was something in the video. He said it was local, and you recognized it.
Oh, yeah. So there was this, it's funny. It was on TikTok. There was this older guy. He makes, I guess these old-fashioned milkshakes on his... I don't even know how I came across it. You don't even know what you're going to find on social media nowadays. But I recognized one of the... it was like a local kind of pop in one of his videos that you see in Atlantic Canada. I think the brand was called The Pop Shop or something. But I looked at that, I noticed that, and I thought, that guy must be from Atlantic Canada. And then sure enough, I found out the guy was based in New Brunswick, and he has hundreds of thousands of followers. So, I mean, you never know what you're going to stumble across on social media, and it might even be someone from Atlantic Canada.
In Atlantic Canada with these huge followings.
Exactly.
It's insane.
You had to refresh my memory there for a second.
Yeah.
That's a great point, boys. It's a great point. Atlantic Canada is full of talent, period. There's people doing original things that catch your eye. And it's great. We have lots of talent here, but the big there's some disadvantages to be, as you know, the disadvantage to being in Atlantic Canada is that, to your point earlier, we're a small market. I think total, if you added everybody up, I think there's about 2.5 million people in all of Atlantic Canada. I think that might have changed since. I know there's at least 1 million people in Nova Scotia, and New Brunswick's population has actually grown as well.
Wow.
So it's But the point is, though, small market. But it's stuff like that. It's stuff like that ends up on social media, ends up on on the internet, so to speak, has a chance to spread. But if you're not doing the thing and putting it up, then it won't get noticed. But if you do it and put it up, you never know who around the world is going to catch it, going to like that. and want to catch more of that. So yeah, lots of potential here for being artistic and putting that out. So yeah, it's nice to hear.
What's another thing too about actually doing stuff? Because, I mean, I can't lie. I'm not the best at this sometimes. Then you have sometimes people go to you like, I'm going to do this. And I want to look and say, are you really going to do this? Like, you tell me this, but I've never actually seen you go and do it. Like, that's the thing. I mean, you got to be motivated. And I don't know. I mean, as I said, I kind of struggle with that at times myself. Like, I'm determined to do a goal and I never do it. But, a lot of the times it's funny. You hear someone say, I have this big idea. And what happens with it? They never do anything with it.
Oh, we'll get you going. We'll get you going. Don't worry about that. We'll get you in the studio. We'll get you doing all kinds of stuff.
Well, it's funny, even being special guest host. I guess maybe it's from being on the radio. I'm not so nervous being up here, and I guess it goes back to what you said, Glenn. I'm almost feeling warm. I'm all settled in here, I think.
Well, that's the thing. I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's why I wanted you to do this. Because I am in the mentorship archetype phase of my life. You boys are in the warrior archetype phase of your life. You're learning, you're establishing. I've been there, done that. I'm twice your age. Well, unless you put you two together, then you're both. Yeah. That's it. But yeah, I've listened to your show, Views of the 902 on CIOE, the volunteer radio station based in Halifax. And what's that website again?
Oh, it's communityradio.ca.
Yeah. And what time's your show on?
From 9 to 10 on Monday nights.
Yeah, 9 to 10 Atlantic time. In Eastern, that's 8 to 9?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's right. Anyways, the point is that you guys are doing, and you're on, and you guest sometimes.
Oh,
yeah. So what happens is that you host once a week, and you put together the production, you choose the music to play, you focus on hip hop and stuff like that. I love it, because I like all the music.
It's tough choosing the music sometimes. There's so much good. When I started the show, I wasn't as familiar with the Canadian hip hop scene, but now it's tough to go pick music every week. So I want to put in more songs, but then I'm running short on time. I need more talking, and with all the good Canadian hip hop that is out there, sometimes it's tough. I got to cut off a song, and it's like, I really wanted to play this song, but I don't want to go over my time.
Well, you know what? But that's a good point, because what you're describing now is your experience. See, you have experience hosting. I want that. I want to see that. So I want to reverse roles today. I thought maybe you could be the mentorship archetype and I'll be the warrior archetype. And you show me how it's done. I'll learn from it. And then when I have guests, I'll learn from your example. All right, let's get into this. Check out Marcus Grover's radio show. It's called Views of the 902. He talks about hip hop culture in Atlantic Canada and from wherever. And he does a news segment. He's on there frequently with his brother Jeremy and a good friend of mine, Hugh and Fowler Purdy. Check that out at communityradio.ca. That's on Monday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. in Atlantic time. That URL again is communityradio.ca. Check that out. All right, let's get back into this.
Well, we're back here on the business of making art. Still here with Glenn and my twin, Jeremy, over there, of course. And it's good to be back. And one thing I've wanted to now ask you guys about as we roll through this episode here is something we talked about before, and the last time we shot was the art scene here in Atlantic Canada. And it's safe to say we've got a great art scene here. Wouldn't you say so, Glenn?
Oh, absolutely. And so diversified as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was working with, out of the gate when I was trying to get some guests, I've been talking to a lot of people, and you know some people too. We'll talk about that in a sec, but a lot of people involved in dance, a lot of people involved in crafts. I've got an episode coming. Oh, actually, it will already be released by the time this gets released, but I talked to someone who does jewelry and stuff like that. Really get a sense of the of going to events and selling and stuff like that and what that takes.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, lots of music. Lots of different kinds of music and all kinds of writing, all kinds of writers. Mm-hmm. And so, it's great. What do you think?
Well, I agree with you there when, you say the Atlantic Canadian art scene is quite diversified. Like, there is just so much out here. Like, I mean, the thing is, too, when you combine the three provinces, like, it is huge. And like I said before, there's even people living in very remote parts of these places. So, they might not be discovered around the world, but here in Atlantic Canada, there's definitely people who know who they are.
And that's a
You
good
know,
point. Sometimes you go in the valley, everyone knows everyone. There's some people you might not know here in the city, but you go to the valley and, oh, you got to go see this and everyone knows who they are. And a lot of times it could be an artist, it could be an entrepreneur, it could just be someone out there doing something great.
You know what? You know what? You said the valley. You opened the door. You opened the door to a story. All right, I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to tell you the story about how I got into interpretive dance. So, back in the year 2000, I was working at Fort Anne National Historic Site. It was my second of 3 seasons working at that as a tour guide. And of course, it's a beautiful site. It's a star-shaped fort, and it's the big hills, and they mow the lawn with the strings, and they put the lawnmower down the hill and they pull it back up again. Anyways, I was there in the summer, and we're just sitting in the kiosk one day, and of course, it's it must be a midweek day, kind of slow. Usually picked up on the weekends. You know what I mean?
Oh,
It's a site actually. We got a lot of bus tours, people coming to see Nova Scotia and just go through. But anyways, and so what happened was that one day I was just sitting there in my Parks Canada uniform, which it was kind of brown back in the day. It had the brown pants and I had the hat and everything. You know what I mean? Tipped up.
Yeah.
Anyways, and so I love that stuff. I loved it. And one of these days, I was just sitting there, and me and my boss, his name was Alan, great guy, and there was all of a sudden just down, because you can see out the window, you can see the road coming up to the kiosk where you pay to go into the museum, and there were 4 figures through the mist. 4 figures through the mist coming up the road. And it's like, oh, okay, we got some guests coming. So you stand up, you get ready. But there was something different about these 4. These 4 were 4 women my age. It was like they were from another world.
Wow.
And it turns out they were from another world.
Really?
They were from modern dance schools from across the United States.
Wow.
They were attending at the time. There was, and for all I know, the school is still there, but there was a private modern interpretive dance school that was, what happened was this couple who lived somewhere in Europe or something like that. I don't know their story, but they were really into dance, like professionally. And so they bought an old church, a little church, and they turned it into a dance school.
Wow.
And it was very specific, very high end. And they'd get these modern dancers from these schools, and they would go and stay there for the summer and learn from these people how to dance or pick up on that. And so these 4 women, as they approached, what I quickly noticed was, okay, first of all, I have no problem saying this, but these girls were smoking. Like I'm from Yarmouth. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
when 4 girls from Columbia University in New York, dressed like they are downtown New York,
Wow.
coming up the thing, plus they've got some flair because they're modern dancers are coming up. I did not want to mess up that tour.
Oh.
So luckily for me, Alan, realizing that, okay, I might get a kick out of doing that, he said, how about you do this one? It was his turn. See, it was his turn to do it. And I looked at him and I said, yeah, you know what? I think that's a good idea.
Was a good idea.
Threw down the tour. And it turned out these women were great. They were wonderful.
That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. They were interested in the area. Of course, they had a bit of an art slant, so they wanted to get they wanted to get the experience and go to check out the fort, check out the history of the area, and they took it seriously, which I appreciated. So actually, because they were there all summer, and so was I. It turned out that we ended up being friends, and we would go dancing.
That's
And
awesome.
so I went dancing with these 4, I want to say goddesses at the time. That's how I saw them through the eyes of the Yarmouth guy. You know what I mean?
Oh,
That's what they were. They were from another planet, and they were awesome. And yeah. So anyways, the point is that these women knew how to dance. Like they were doing moves that I had never seen before.
Wow.
And they were getting the look on their faces when they're performing. It's almost, it's like they were, anyways, the point is that was my inspiration. And that happened in the Annapolis Valley, thanks to a modern dance school that was built into that was made from a church that had been sold, turned into a dance hall and I believe the exact community was called Granville Ferry, which is, if you know Atlantic Canada, that'd be kind of on the way to Port Royal habitation. So, but let me tell you though, guys, these girls, they were smoking. But they knew what they were doing. They used to get me. I think they took advantage of me because they would get me to. I had a car, so they would get me to drive into Digby to get McDonald's. And I didn't have a problem with that because I'm rolling with these modern dancers from Columbia University. Like all day.
So how old were you at the time?
Oh, I would have been 20.
To our age.
Yeah, your age.
Wow.
Yeah. 20. But that's to your point. To your point. It's like you never know when you're going to get exposed to an art.
Yeah.
And so I went to their recital, and their recital was, like I say, a choreographed, heavily choreographed recital with multiple acts. And some of them where all four of them were involved, and then solo pieces. And I got to see that performed.
Wow.
And I got to kind of see what that took to get to that point. And like I say, the talent just blew my mind. So that's why I say I want to get more into the dance kind of scene. And I understand, by the way, that you're working with somebody from Dance Nova Scotia, don't you?
Yep, that's right. I was actually doing I still got some edits to make, but I was doing a project very recently with Kenny Fitzpatrick. Kenny, of course, he is the executive director of Dance Nova Scotia. He does the Out Loud radio show for CIOE FM. So we met through CIOE through producing him, and we've been in touch ever since then. And it's been great because knowing Kenny, I've gotten to pick up some things on the side. He's taught me so much, and doing this project recently with him for Dance Nova Scotia, it was an amazing experience making these 3 videos that we made.
See, I've worked with Kenny too at CIOE. It's been a while since I talked to him, though. I've got nothing but respect for Kenny. Kenny's the kind of guy that you guys should be learning from, and probably are. Yeah, exactly. What do you think of working with Kenny?
Well, it's funny. I did a co-op placement there in high school. The first ever show that I ever got to sat there and watch someone produce was the first ever episode of Kenny's show at CIOE. So looking back now, I think about 3, almost maybe even 4 years later, I can't believe it's been that long. Like, it's almost kind of come full circle now. I don't really work with him as much as Marcus has quite recently, but Kenny, he's always been someone I looked up to during my time at CIOE. And
you were there for his first episode.
Yeah, and very approachable. If you ever have an issue or a question, go to him, and he's a great person to work with.
Kenny's worked with a lot of people too, and I think what I learned from Kenny from my brief time when it's around the same period I was working with you guys developing this kind of thing, was that he was making the show at CIOE and then exporting it out, syndicating it in other places. I think he said he was as far away as California.
Oh, he's got South Africa too, and Australia now.
Oh wow,
yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to get him on. He said he wanted to be on, but I don't want to put him on the spot. There's 1,000 reasons why someone, the executive director, I think, of Dance Nova Scotia. Yeah. There's 1,000 reasons why his schedule wouldn't, But he'd be cool, though.
Oh, and I reach out to him, too. I don't know how he has the time to respond. He's always running around. He's so busy. And nothing but respect there. He's doing great things.
Well, that's the thing. He's the kind of person you wish you could box up and send all over Atlantic Canada. Because, we get some stuff done. That's for sure. What else was there in the art scene, though? Oh yeah. Actually, you know what? I'm going to throw one back at you, Marcus. Tell me about your show and the hip hop scene.
Well, we've got a great hip hop scene here in Canada, especially in Atlantic Canada. Not only do we have Classified, but we've got Quake Matthews, who has been making quite a name for himself recently, and it's good to see. Because like I said, I think I said it in the last segment here, but when I started doing Views from the 902, I knew almost nothing about Canadian hip hop and who we had here on the scene. And almost 3-4 years later now, it's crazy. I know who everyone is. I know who's putting out new music. I even got bumpers from like Quake Matthews, some of the other rappers plug in the show. So it's been amazing doing it, and we've got a great hip hop scene here. It's awesome.
Well, to go off what you said, Marcus, I can't believe how full circle it's gone. Just starting there as a co-op student in high school, you do your hours, and then to be brought back there in the summer to work there, and all of a sudden now you're hosting a radio show every week. It's remarkable when you think about it, especially for someone so young like us.
I was going to jump in too, when I plug it now too, it's interesting. I think a lot of people we went to high school with and have known, I don't know if they've been aware that I've been doing the show, so I've had quite a few people reach out now just curious, I'd love to get into radio. How'd you start doing what you do? And I've told them, well, I did my co-op placement. It kind of went full circle, and been doing a show now for almost 3-4 years.
And you are great on the show. Tell you what though, since this is a mentorship opportunity, let me tell you what I think about your show in a productive way for the sake of my audience to see what mentorship looks like. one way, of course. There's 1,000 different ways you could do this. I think you're great. You know, the reason I think you're great is because you have confidence and it comes out in your voice that you love every second of what you're doing. As a young person, you need some refinement, but that is completely normal. And as you know, completely natural and understandable for someone who is just stepping into the experience phase of your life. So my only advice for you, and this goes for you too to some degree, my only advice for you is just to relax and just remember to have fun with it. And then that'll come out even more in your voice because you have quite a presence. And it's obvious to me that you do your homework.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because your shows, you are ready. Your outline is always nice and clean. Your news reading is always great. Your commentary, that'll get better over time because that'll flow naturally.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. But that's how commentary works.
Yeah.
And you, if memory serves, you are someone who understands that you love talking.
Yeah. Oh, I do.
Yeah, exactly. So the principle is that the more you do something, what you practice, you will get good at. Every time you do something, you get just a little bit better at it. And so as every time you do a show, you'll incrementally just get better because that's what experience is. And so, like I say, my advice to anyone doing literally anything that's hard to do that you're going to do over and over, keep making product or keep striving or whatever, is just remember that. Remember that every second that you do something and love it means it'll be even better the next time.
Oh, practice makes perfect.
Even if just a little bit. I agree, actually. Some people don't like the word perfect, but I do. Because to me, perfect is I'm happy with it.
And I've had a lot of friends too. They've wanted to make a YouTube product or make something, and they make a few videos, and then I don't know if they love what they're doing because they get burnt out and they just stop doing it. I want to tell them, even if your product isn't perfect or it's not great at first, just keep at it, keep practicing, and it'll get better.
Well, it's like anything, the first time you do something, that's going to be it's not going to be perfection, but once you do it over and over again and you get better, then, you're golden, I guess I can say.
I think back to even the first episode of Views from the 902, back when we were a 2-hour show at first.
I was going to say it started off as 2 hours.
Yep, and it wasn't, the first episode wasn't bad, but I look back and there's definitely a lot I would have done differently. A lot of, my commentary probably wasn't as good as it has gotten. Thinking back then, so.
Something quite interesting as well. I think we commented on this on the last time we were on the show, but it's quite funny because, Jim and Russell, the two guys who are in charge of CIOE, they always had a vision of students running a show, especially Jim. And it's funny, I don't know if they would be surprised that you're still doing it, but all these years later, it's the fact that you're still going out and producing this product every week.
Hey everybody, I'm Glenn Friel, Atlantic Canada's artist publicist. I just launched my consulting practice, and I am open for business. If you're an entrepreneur, an artist, or any kind of self-starter who's looking to get established, or you're building something, that's what I do. Whether you just want to make a plan, or you want me to build it for you. Either way, all you do is you go to glennfriel.com, sign up for a free consultation, and we'll go from there. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for the support out of the gate. Let's get back into this. There's a lot of people in Nova Scotia and all across Atlantic Canada who are getting into all kinds of sports now because we're rolling into the summertime.
Yep.
That means the fields are, it's nice out. So it opens up the opportunities. You can see a lot of people on the water. I go down to what is it? What's that beach where they do the surfing? Lawrencetown.
Lawrencetown,
Yeah,
great beach.
yeah. I love going down there.
Same here.
My daughter and I go down and watch. We'll go down just to walk on the beach. But nowadays, you see people in their swimsuits.
Oh yeah.
They get the swimsuits, and you can rent them right there.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah. They got the trucks. The companies. They get the truck and they pull it right in there, and you can rent equipment. You can go down there, rent equipment, and just go surfing. Because you need a wetsuit. It's too cold.
Yeah.
The water, just where we are, not northern Atlantic, but we're not Florida. You know what I mean?
Oh, exactly.
Exactly. So yeah. They get the wetsuits and you get your board or whatever, and you go out there, do your surfing. But I'm just saying that stuff's all picking up now. That's sports too. And so this is a beautiful season.
Oh, it is. Absolutely.
The other thing I'm seeing is in this season here in Atlantic Canada is the cars are coming out.
Oh yeah.
That's one of my favorite sports. I'm a big import guy, but I like the muscle cars too. But now people are getting the nice cars out of their garage and they're taking them, rolling down the street and those kind of things. It's
Well, even
beautiful.
Jeremy, you pointed out one to me coming here. I think we saw quite a few nice cars even on the drive here to the studio.
Well, do you remember last year? I mean, this is outside of Atlantic Canada. Do you remember how crazy it was when F1 was in Montreal?
Yes, and even going to Montreal, that's a whole nother can of worms in itself. But all the cars you see there, I mean, you still see nice cars here in Nova Scotia, and they're coming out, like you said, Glenn. But in Montreal, I remember there was one car we saw, actually. It was, I believe it was a Mercedes-Benz, but all blue and yellow, custom Ukraine license plate on the back. Like, I don't think I took a picture of it. I regret not taking a picture of it. Amazing car. They were repping Ukraine hard, and it was an amazing car.
Sweet, sweet, sweet. The best one I've ever seen here, it was a BMW. I don't know what kind it was, but it was a two-door. It was stick shift, which I love. And I don't remember what kind it was, but the guy I stopped and told the guy, I said, hey, I love the paint job on this car because it was obviously a custom paint.
Yeah.
And then I said, it's a matte green. And the guy looked at me proudly. You could see it in his eyes that he was proud of this. And he said, that's called emerald green.
Oh,
wow. He picked it out. Beautiful, beautiful. Wow. But I love that effort. See, that's an artist right there.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. The guy likes his car. No, the dude likes his car. And it's not just dudes either. I see women all the time rolling in import tuners, like shined up rims. You know, I saw one woman driving a Civic, and the Civic had the darkened back windows. You're not supposed to darken the front windows. And she had these shiny aluminum rims, probably 19-inch. And I swear to goodness that the car was dropped an inch.
Whoa.
So, I mean, you can import, there's a diversity here into that kind of stuff. But my point is, boys, is that 'tis the season.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. I love it when they come out.
Well, I was going to say to you, especially talking about going to the beach, I think I know what me and you are going to do if it's a nice day out and we get off work at 1:30.
Go to Oathill Lake in Dartmouth or go to Conrad's Beach.
Oh, even Clam Harbor. I mean, I know it's a little bit out of the way, but oh my God, it was like bathwater the last time we were there.
Oh, I love Clam Harbor. It's a bit of a drive, but great beach.
That's the thing. It's a perfect time of year for that. You know, people are going out. Like I even had a fellow I used to work with yesterday. He was even saying to me, you know, I'm from India. You know, I got bored last summer. I want to find out what people do here in the summer. And I even said to him, you know, there's all kinds of lakes. There's all kinds of beaches. So if, you know, you want to ever go swimming with me and my brother, let me know. Like, get involved.
I think it's great because it's we have Atlantic Canada has a beautiful art scene. We got a beautiful sports scene. U Sports is great. We got the junior hockey. You guys are wearing your Mooseheads shirts, which I love. Yeah, I love that you guys wore matching clothes.
Should have brought a third one for you. It would be triplets. All right. Well, I'd like to close out with one more thing. And first I'll ask you, Jeremy, then I'll ask you, Glenn, if our audience in Atlantic Canada and Canada is watching, they've made it up to this point of the episode, I just like to ask you, is there anything else you'd like to tell them? What would you like to tell them and leave them with?
Well, you know, the thing I've learned about living in Nova Scotia is like people, like it's a very passionate province. Like we went on about the art and the sports scene. I'll just tell you this, you know, there's lots of ways you can get involved and just people are very passionate about what they do here. And it's something I always consider when I think of Halifax and I think of Dartmouth and even the time of year too. Like it's a perfect time of year to get involved if you're interested in anything like the art scene, whatever it may be that piques your interest. Like walk down to the waterfront, just take a walk in downtown Dartmouth. Like I'm sure you'll find something. And like if you want to get involved, as I said, there's lots of opportunities out there.
I'll ask you the same, Glenn. If our audience in Atlantic Canada and Canada has made it up to this point, what would you like to leave them with?
I'd like to leave them with this. Marcus, Jeremy, I think it's wonderful that you've come on and done my show for the second time.
It's amazing.
I am getting into this show. I'm picking up production. I'm getting into a rhythm. And it's important to get into a rhythm because now what was the first few are always the hardest. You learn a lot during the first few. I've got it down now, so I'm getting into a rhythm. But I want to thank you two very specifically because I see you both as proteges because we learn from each other. But like I said earlier, it's you want to mentor. I have this burning desire to mentor. And I want to mentor people who are interested in being mentored. You guys are great listeners. You are effective communicators, and you are impressive young people. So I just want to say that just on the way out the door. what I'd like to tell my Atlantic Canadian audience is that if you want something, if you want to be something, or if you want to make something, or if there's something that you want to do, do it. Do it. Get it out of your head. Write it out on paper. See what it takes to get started and take that first step. And if you can do that, and if you truly, really want to do it, you'd be amazed at how quickly you'll pick up the momentum and start loving doing that thing. And who knows, maybe you'll build something for the betterment of the earth.
And that's a great point to wrap up on. I'd like to thank you once again, Glenn, for having me here on the Business of Making Art as a special guest host. And thank you over there, my twin. You could secretly be Marcus, I could secretly be Jeremy. And we all know who's who, so I am Marcus, you're of course Jeremy. But thank you as well, Jeremy.
Well, thanks for having me on, and thank you as well, Glenn, for this opportunity. As I said, as a young person, I'm really grateful to take on these opportunities, and it's always a great time to sit here and chat with you and learn and listen.
And thank you both. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Everybody, take care.
Take care.
Take care. Thank you, Glenn.
Awesome.
Awesome.
And now we just kind of rhyme off like we're talking. What do you guys think?
Oh, I thought it was good.
Good. Awesome. You did well in the. By the way, you did well.
Thank you.
You did well in the chair. I think that's great.
Radio.
Yeah. That's what I'm picking up. You have a great cadence. It's wonderful.
No. No, you've got to be confident. That's okay.
That's it.
Confidence.
All right, you can cut tape.